The Philippines' first and leading crypto exchange, coins.ph. 60 cryptocurrencies to trade, like Bitcoin, USDT, and more. Enjoy low fees, favorable rates, and a smooth cash in and out experience. Download coins.ph now.
All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Coinmunity Wednesdays. I'm your host, JC Cadiz, or Jaffa, as you know me in Web3. And tonight, I am super excited because it is going to be the first time that we are going to be hosting a guest from a Bitcoin Rune project. Also, a community that's going to be pretty well known in the upcoming days. So I'd like to give a shout out to the $1 billion cat community who will also be joining us through X Live or wherever you may be watching on the internet. For tonight's discussion, we have a guest from the community of $1 billion cat, IoTB. I'll be bringing him up in a second to introduce himself and talk a little bit more about the project and the $1 billion cat community. Don't forget to our coins.ph Filipino viewers. We do give away, a prize pool for our community every week. So please do send in your community questions for our theme discussion for the night, which is building community culture through memes, since memes are really popular in crypto right now. So do send in your questions wherever you are watching from. And if your question gets chosen for IO later, you will be getting 400 pesos straight into your coins.ph wallet. Just make sure that your account is verified and we'll be getting your details through Discord tickets later. Now, let's bring up on stage our guest for tonight. So he will probably be introducing the project, what the community is about, and how we use memes. And memes are very prevalent in crypto right now. So IoTB, welcome so much to Coinmunity Wednesdays. It's the first time we'll be having a guest from a project that is from the Bitcoin Rune sector. Is also from, I guess, a culture coin, a meme coin kind of community. So, Io, please, welcome to Coinmunity Wednesdays. Do introduce yourself and feel free to tell the community about yourself.
Hey, excuse me, GM. Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me. That's an honor to be the first kind of rune guy that you've had on your program here. So I appreciate that. I go by IoTB. I've just kind of been involved in crypto as an artist, working in various aspects since, I've been in crypto since 2017, but I've been involved as an artist since 2020. So messing around with NFTs, messing around with kind of 3D model-based assets and kind of stuff like that. So as things currently stand, I'm pretty involved in the $1 billion cat community, and I'm leveraging the video compositing skills that I have to produce GIFs and content for the project.
Yeah, thanks, Io. We were chatting on Telegram, and I do see, like, for example, you guys have your own sticker packs. You have, your culture is prevalent, and what's really sticks out and stands out in all of your promotions and all your material is those orange Bitcoin themed glasses. And you can put it on NFTs, and it's one of those things where anyone can put them on and be a part of the community. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more as well about how did that come to be, and how have you seen it also evolve with time and other community members coming into the community as well.
Yeah, sure. This I didn't get involved in $1 billion cat right away when it was minting. I kind of came across it on X maybe a few days after it had minted out. But the glasses that you speak of was what initially caught my attention. It's a graphic element where you're basically taking the Bitcoin logo and you kind of turn it on its side, and the little bits that stick out at the top and bottom become wavy, and it has a little nose on it, and it becomes a kind of a cat mask. So it's in a sense, it's like a combination of kind of two different metas that you see going on in the meme world. We have stuff like Mog over on the Ethereum side, where it's these glasses that you can slap onto anything to make a meme. But then it's also kind of an embodiment of the cat meta, insofar as the mask itself is calls to mind a cat, and the cat meta is kind of ascendant out there these days. So if I'm not mistaken, that actual graphic was the invention of Sig, who was one of the developers of the project, very talented graphic designer. And it immediately caught my eye. Everybody that's in the $1 billion cat community more or less says the same thing, that there's just a kind of a graphic strength that's archetypal to that mask, and it just kind of draws you in. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is a cool thing. And I kind of been making GIFs and messing around with compositing software. And I just recognized that this is a this is a motif that I can run with. I can take these glasses and just bring these into the compositing software that I use to make stuff, and there's a lot of potential to explore there. So yeah, I would say the glasses themselves, they represent Bitcoin insofar as they're literally the Bitcoin symbol, but it's also a cat, and it's $1 billion cat.
Lovely. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned motif, right? And it's such a it's simple, but it's sticky because anyone can put the glasses on and be a part of the community. And I think that's one thing that's also really important when you have a community is a motif that everyone can kind of easily associate with or easily replicate and attach themselves to. So one day maybe I'll probably stick on some orange themed Bitcoin glasses as well, because it's really fun, and I love seeing all the stickers and all of the memes that you guys make with the cats and yeah, with the glasses. It's pretty cool to just see it everywhere, and I think it's gonna be we'll be seeing it a lot more in the coming days and weeks as the cycle goes on. Yeah. So we do have some set questions, and we'll be getting some community questions as well, since the theme of our topic for tonight is building community culture with memes. And memes can be very philosophical, but they can also be very simple. Because when you have a meme, usually it goes viral and people will remember it. And what comes again to like people's attention and their minds is really like that motif, as you mentioned, of the orange glasses. So I guess for our first question, I guess Io. So I guess, how do memes shape the culture of online communities, especially in the crypto space, since memes are very popular right now?
I personally I look at memes as a form of kind of like constantly evolving modern mythology. In a sense, it's a collectively constructed mythology. You think back to the old days, people, maybe they were more familiar with like Greek mythology, or at least in the West. I'm living in the United States myself, so that coming from that kind of cultural side of things. But the Greek mythology, historical figures, people look to these kinds of stories to like define like what's good in terms of human behavior, look for role models and villains and that kind of stuff. And in the broader sense, you look at the 20th century, at least in the United States, this kind of mythology was taken over in a sense by Hollywood and by the consumerism. Most people these days are a lot more familiar with like Coca-Cola and like a various like kind of movie characters than they know anything about Greek mythology or even like the history, of the culture that they live in. So that kind of became prevalent. And where we are now with memes, at least in my opinion, I'm kind of like getting into middle age. I've been online since the late 90s, so I've kind of watched the whole thing happen. But I really appreciate the memes in the sense that what I see in that is that the people of the world are like kind of open source generating their own modern mythology using memes. We have now this whole cast of characters that are, each one kind of stands for a certain personality trait or a certain kind of idea or something. And this is like a bottom up kind of thing. Whereas like Hollywood and corporations, producing brands and that kind of stuff was a very top down sort of culture making thing. The meme culture that we see online now is a bottom up grassroots kind of thing where we, collectively as humanity are kind of creating this new, mythology or whatever. So in terms of like crypto, I mean, there's a meme for every flavor. You got tokens, some memes are really edgy. Some are kind of taboo. Some are cute. Some are like vicious. It just really depends on what your personality is and what appeals to you. You can find a meme community that resonates with the vibe that you are personally feeling. And then if you like it, especially with the internet these days, I think people's real lives are becoming kind of maybe more isolated in a sense. People don't circulate as much in the real world. So there's people are looking to online communities for a sense of belonging and a sense of community. And the meme culture that you see in crypto, it gives that, because people can get into these Telegram groups, or they can be on X, and they're part of a community. And we're kind of like sharing a collective mission, right? Like every community has this mission to kind of pump their coin to the moon. So yeah, it just gives a sense of belonging and a sense of mission, and it's there's a flavor for every kind of personality out there.
Yep. Thanks, Ayo. Yes, I guess some of the key things that you mentioned, as like mythology, ground up, with Web3 being very distributed, very decentralized, memes do kind of serve as like a bridge as well for a lot of communities, and as you mentioned, people who are looking for a place to belong. And yeah, memes also, do serve as, a cultural icon. So a lot of people will, kind of remember it. And I guess it also delves into the area of like identity and yeah, community as well. So some memes, as you mentioned, they can be, just very plain simple, have funny superficial jokes, but at the same time, some of them can be quite offensive or taboo, as you mentioned. And I think that's a double-edged sword for the crypto space, is because some memes that do really tend to go up in price might not be the ones that are the most family friendly, but the other ones might also be something that, as we're seeing, are more wholesome, or more inclusive for people. So I guess it's cool to see, but it's also like really new, I guess, in our space, to see how memes can really evolve and shape the culture of online communities. So yeah, thanks for that, Io. Lovely. I guess the second question I do have here is, so how have you seen meme culture evolve in your community, in the billion-dollar cat community, and what impact has it had on its growth? Maybe you can also talk about some of the contributions that other notable community members have brought to the table, and how it's also shaped the billion-dollar cat tribe online.
Sure enough. Well, I have to give a huge shout out to Sup. Sup is also one of the developers of the project, and Sup is a kind of a technical genius. He builds the website. He's kind of built some different bots and stuff that are in the Telegram. And I'd say one of the major watershed events that happened in the Billion Dollar Cat kind of meme chronology was the introduction of Billy AI. Somehow or other, Sup had managed to arrange an image generation AI that is specifically trained to create Billy memes. So it'll put the glasses on anything. You prompt it with text, and the results can be very unpredictable, which is often kind of humorous. But this is an image generator that's trained specifically to create Billy memes. And what I love about that is that, like, myself, I possess a lot of kind of specialized graphic manipulation skills in terms of software that I use and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have those skills, and I think maybe they feel kind of left out of the meme making process because it's not so easy. But now that we have Billy AI, absolutely anybody that's in the Billy community can go into the Telegram and start prompting Billy AI, and you might get some really amazing results. And it's cool to see because these are still images that are coming out, but then it's like, if the still image is strong enough, or it has like a powerful enough resonance, you might see other people in the community grabbing that image and adding captions, or like running it through some sort of like a AI, like still to video generator apps to create like an animated clip. And so the process of meme making in the Billion Dollar Cat community, thanks to Billy AI, has become, I think, more collaborative than anything that I've seen in other communities. People are able to get involved just by by text prompting Billy AI. And then you look at the website also, even before that came along, there was a kind of utility on the website that Sup had built where you could take your PFP, different ordinal NFT collections. Even now, there's NFT collections out on Solana and Ethereum that are integrated there, but there'd be like an official kind of Billy glasses that are modified to the aesthetic style of that NFT collection. And you can input the number of your NFT and run that through, and it'll slap the Billy glasses on there, so you can use that for your social media profiles. And then you can also input images and manually position Billy glasses on there and add text and that kind of stuff. So, the developers of Billion Dollar Cat have done a really awesome job of kind of decentralizing and open sourcing the meme creation process by putting powerful tools into the hands of the community that allow anybody, even those people without technical skills, to get involved in meme creation.
Cool. Yep. So you mentioned Billy AI and that it's available on Telegram, right? So I did join your Telegram and I do see a little bit of it, but I want to play around with it some more. And as you mentioned, having this AI that's text promptable allows anyone to kind of join in on that, meme creation process, community creation process. So it evolves as people, co-create stickers, GIFs, memes. And that does shape, the culture as well of how the story unfolds with the Billy Dollar Cat community. So it's super cool to see that I think you mentioned it was Sub who created that. Yeah,
That's right.
so yeah, so they can join in on that process and co-create the community culture, creating their own memes and adding into this gigantic mass of memes that do incorporate, the motif, as you mentioned earlier, of the glasses. So thanks for that, Io. So just a reminder as well to our viewers from the Philippines, if you're a coins.ph user, do send in your community questions, wherever you're watching from, because we do have prizes if your questions are chosen for Io later during our community question segment. So after this one, Io, so we talked about how people can co-create memes and join in on the storytelling process of the community, of the culture, of the mimetic transmission of billion-dollar cat community and vet motif. So I guess the next question that I do have is, a bit more on the general side. So, in what ways do memes act as a bridge for newcomers to understand and engage with the culture of a crypto community?
Well, like I was saying earlier, there's different, every project, every meme coin project at least has its kind of like, main meme, and they've got different kind of flavors to them emotionally or like culturally. So I guess the first part of it would just be like what resonates with you. People would tend to gravitate towards something that they identify with in some way or other. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, just in terms of being drawn into a community and being kind of part of like a collective mission of sorts. Versus something like in the past, you look at maybe like 2017, 2018 in crypto, there was memes around. I think Dogecoin was around at that time, but it was really more kind of like these utility projects where it was very business-like. The projects would put up a very business-like website and publish white papers, and they would talk about metrics, and it was all a very kind of serious business investment kind of a vibe there. And I think that's nowhere near as participatory as the meme culture. The meme culture really invites every single person to contribute in some way, whatever way they might like, and to take a shot. Maybe your memes aren't any good, maybe they are, but you can throw them in there and see what kind of reaction you get from the rest of the community. And I think that's much more kind of engaging and participatory than these more kind of like utility-based tokens that used to be more prevalent in crypto.
Yep. So you did mention, I guess, older tokens, a lot of them try to convey, or bridge their messaging, their value through white papers, through tokenomics, all those kinds of things. But what we're seeing, I guess, now with crypto is a bit, you have to also, I guess, understand a little bit more about, what makes money a store of value. And, this relates back to crypto and meme coins and NFTs and all of these things. And as you mentioned, I guess with meme coins and, you talked about Billy AI, it makes the process of this collective mission of getting people in, more engaging and participatory. So it allows anyone, I guess, to really be a part of co-creating the bridge as well to people who want to get in, like, on the community and what they're building, I guess. So yeah, thanks for that, Io. I guess our next question would be this one. So we're in the middle of what people would like to dub the meme coin super cycle. So how do you see the future of meme culture evolving in Web3 and its impact on community building efforts?
That's a hard question. I don't really know that I have a clear sense of what the future holds for meme culture. It's evolving so rapidly. I mean, you get the sense, we're talking about a crypto specific kind of niche here, but even in the broader sense, you get the sense that maybe like the politically established powers of the world are a little bit nervous about meme culture in the sense that they don't control it and it's very unpredictable. In terms of what sort of messaging might come out or what sort of like what might resonate with people in an unpredictable way. So I don't know. I mean, I guess the Billy AI maybe is an indicator of what's to come. I haven't really seen that in other communities. The AI image generation and AI like video generation is cutting edge stuff these days, and people in the visual arts are still kind of grappling with how to integrate that in their creative process. So I think, Billion Dollar Cat in particular is maybe on the forward edge of that in terms of bringing those tools in and making those available as part of the community. So we're probably going to see a lot more of that insofar as you can look to what Billion Dollar Cat community is putting out and see that that's a successful thing for us, So I'm sure other communities will look at that and want to emulate that. But I haven't seen it so far. I don't really know what, SUP's been a little bit private about how they arranged all that, the training the AI and all that, understandably. So you want to keep that edge. When you've got an edge, you keep it. So I'm not really sure how that process worked on the back end, but I'm sure we'll probably be seeing a lot more of that kind of thing going on. But in terms of where it's going, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the meme culture is kind of irreverent. It's very kind of like non-serious in a way, and I'm personally, I think it's a cool thing because life is supposed to be fun, and culture is supposed to be fun. So you know, we don't have to take ourselves seriously. We're out here just creating culture and we're having fun, and that's a cool thing. But where it's going, honestly, I don't know.
Great. Yeah. Sometimes memes and the way we understand them is very reactive. Like we kind of take it day by day. What's popping in the market now, what's happening in the internet, on the timeline. Sometimes we just have to react to that, and that adds another building block to the story, and how we understand memes as a tool um, for storytelling, for community building, for how we also understand the markets. Because I think we're in a phase in crypto where um, it's really like anything goes. But we also can kind of see trends, like for example, case in point with $1 billion cat community. Cats. Crypto loves animals. We place animals as a possible narrative or a trend that people try to trade or to associate with as well. And we've also seen like recently like Mudang. So I guess hippos were a thing as well, for a time. But I guess as you mentioned, we really don't know where it's gonna go. And sometimes what comes into the viral public consciousness, really just it depends. It really depends on what will happen tomorrow or a week from now. And I mean, a lot of these things are also, I guess, influenced by um, I guess real life events, public events. So yeah, I guess you really don't know what you're gonna get when it comes to crypto, especially with memes. But as you did mention, it does go back, for example, to being, I guess, engaging and participatory, and having people in on that mission, as you go along as a community on a day to day basis. Um, so yeah, thanks for that insight. And yeah, I guess just want to plug again to our Filipino viewers. If you are a coins.ph user, don't forget to send in your community questions for IO. If your question is chosen, we'll be sending cash prizes to your coins.ph wallet. So yeah, I guess we can start. I guess IO, since it's 8:30 here in the Philippines, and you did mention that it's pretty early where you are. So again, thanks IO, for taking the time on a very early in the morning on a Wednesday, wherever you are in the world, making time to talk about memes about Billy Dollar Cat and its initiative. So thank you so much again. I guess for our first community question, I saw this question, in our Discord. So this comes from, so La 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 is their name, and I guess you can just tie in, I guess, some of the quest or insights that you gave to the questions earlier. So, in what ways can memes, serve as a tool for storytelling and preserving the unique identity of a community? So, yeah, I mean, some of the questions, they have common themes, but you can always just bring up some, I guess, anecdotes and stories from the Billy Dollar Cat community, and I guess what you observe as well in meme culture on the internet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of like collective storytelling, it's like we were saying just a moment ago that like events are unpredictable in the world, and in this type of meme community, that you're responding to what happens on the timeline. You never know what the news of the day might be. So as events in the world evolve, as events in the crypto space evolve, that as a community, people are kind of like reacting to that and creating memes. And if you go back and look at the chronology, it kind of slowly builds up layers over time where maybe like in the case of $1 billion cat, in the abstract sense, there's this cat named Billy, and he's the guy that's kind of the mascot for the thing. He's the mascot for Bitcoin blockchain itself. And, Billy has challenges and triumphs along the way. There's been different there's a lot of grifters and whatnot in crypto that would try to like take something that's working for another project and seize on that and try to capitalize on the success of others with copycat stuff or whatever. So these become challenges that we face as a community, and the way that we respond through memes and the way that things kind of like turn out in the end, it creates this kind of like evolving narrative that you can look back and see these twists and turns in this kind of like it's like a collective storytelling of what happened along the way. We're sharing the challenges and sharing the victories along the way.
Yep. Thanks, Ayo. Yeah. So as you did mention, it really depends on the music of the day, and really, I guess, as you mentioned, having Billy telling I guess his story. It's the triumphs and the highs and the lows. Communicating that story and making that, I guess, also, I guess, relatable, and how can people also relate to Billy the mascot for Bitcoin. So yeah, I guess that's a cool thing, I guess, that I haven't really given much deep thought about, is having a mascot, because when you have a mascot, you have a character. And when you have a character, people can kind of create, as you mentioned earlier, a mythology for that character. You can create a story. So it does tie back in with the question of la 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 from our community as well. How can memes and Billy as a mascot for Bitcoin kind of serve as a tool for storytelling, and that does tie in as well. Because stories and identity, they're very philosophical concepts, but they do tie in with one another, really closely. So it's going to be interesting to see as well, how the community evolves, especially since, like for my community, the coin community, this is the first time we're having a guest, from a Bitcoin rune project, from Bitcoin project, I guess, as well, and a meme coin project. So it's pretty cool to see, how Filipinos as well, who are being exposed to kind of all of these new things, through from runes, from Bitcoin to a mascot as well through Billy. How will they understand? Based on their own previous understanding, meme coins and Billy as well. So it's gonna be cool to see from my end as well. How does my community react, and I guess also be part of that movement of having I guess um a connection with Billy, and the whole motif that you have with your mascot. So thanks, La La La, for that great question. The second question that I saw as well from our Discord comes from Jaken. So I guess he asks, what makes a meme resonate with a specific crypto audience, and how can communities use this to strengthen their bond? So yeah, again, you can really just talk about memes in general, and what you've seen as well with Billion Dollar Cat and Billy, as a mascot.
What makes a meme resonate with specific crypto audiences? I mean, I don't know. I guess that's really kind of a subjective thing in a sense to say, like, I could speak to the memes that I've personally engaged with that resonated with me, but there's a whole constellation of memes out there that maybe they don't appeal to me, or I don't get the joke or something like that, but other people really, resonate with that. So I guess it's just kind of case by case. I mean, I think in the case of Billion Dollar Cat, it's seen as being kind of like a standard bearer for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. The runes ecosystem and ordinals have only been around since, I believe, March of 2023. So this is kind of like a new thing, and so the Bitcoin culture in particular is kind of like the new kid on the block in terms of like meme culture. This is already very well developed on Solana, and I think it started on Ethereum ERC20 tokens. Solana is really kind of like the main center for meme culture in recent times. But now that fungible tokens are possible on Bitcoin and NFTs and that kind of stuff, we're seeing like a meme culture developing on Bitcoin. So something like Billion Dollar Cat, we see it say this is like we're carrying the standard forward. It's not just about the meme itself, but it's about kind of like we're kind of representing Bitcoin to the world here in a fun way. And in terms of like people say, well, memes, it's just a gambling thing, and maybe that's true, but I don't know. Like in terms of like the end goal of what I see with the Bitcoin ecosystem is that eventually people want to hold their wealth in a way that kind of keeps it away from central bank currencies or whatever. So the end goal of the Bitcoin ecosystem, the way I'm seeing it, would be these kind of like derivatives platforms, whatever, that allow you to hold your wealth completely on chain. Even if you want to go to stable coins or you want to go to some fiat peg sort of token or something like that, that you can do all of that on the most decentralized and secure blockchain in human history, which is Bitcoin. But in order for that infrastructure to be built, you got to have like some incentives there. There has to be some kind of like market inefficiencies and some kind of money swirling around to kind of incentivize builders to come in and build that infrastructure. So I would say that the memes on Bitcoin in particular are serving that purpose of kind of like creating some activity and kind of creating, drawing capital in and moving it around in a way that creates opportunities for infrastructure builders to come in and kind of build that more serious, more developed infrastructure that ultimately serves a socio-political good for humanity.
Well said. Yeah. As you mentioned, incentives to build infrastructure, and storing your wealth in, for example, in Bitcoin, which is, I guess, a response to like the old, I guess, legacy money systems. So I think, during the bear market, I'm sure some people from our community maybe weren't around for that. But you see all kinds of new things popping up on the Bitcoin blockchain. So you'd see like inscriptions, you'd see runes, and these are all, like, I guess, relatively new, I guess, additions to, what can be built on Bitcoin, because I guess the evolution of Bitcoin has, also evolved from just holding Bitcoin to, trading NFTs, trading collectibles, meme coins, and all of these other, I guess, um, dare I say, derivatives, that are denominated in Bitcoin. So it's also kind of new to me because, this is also like an extension of, how, I guess, it starts with Bitcoin in the sense, is how do you extend people's understanding of what is a store of value, and how do you store value. And then when you have, runes and communities being built through Web3, through, this new infrastructure on Bitcoin, and the narrative, that can be created, the communities that are formed, also influence, you know um, how people understand, and, I guess, have that relationship with, wealth and money. So it's really interesting to see as well, all of these cool new things being built, for crypto on Bitcoin. And, with Billion Dollar Cat, it's having, a mascot and a character that, is able to represent the people who believe in Bitcoin. So it's really cool to, have that kind of like mythology, as you mentioned, to money, to cryptocurrencies, that, makes it more accessible as well to people from an outside perspective of why, um, is, cryptocurrency and like meme coin, and meme coins becoming so popular, I guess. And for a lot of people, it's really niche. Some people, it might be taboo, because they might come from a more conservative or traditional background. But as you said, with chronology, with time, there are layers added to it, and people's understanding and how they receive it as well, changes. So it's going to be cool to see as well what other cool things and new things, technology wise, community wise, people are going to be building on Bitcoin and for crypto, as the cycle goes on. So Jacan, thank you for that question as well. Yeah, so I'll be choosing another question from our Discord, right? So this one comes from, I guess, Kim. So they say, so you did mention that you want to open source the process of co-creating memes and that story that, the community will be a part of it. How do you, I guess, how are offensive and sensitive memes addressed in a community, especially where, in crypto we're big on like decentralization, and but sometimes really like wacky and, inappropriate things can kind of come up. So I guess maybe how are those things, I guess, addressed as well in a community?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I haven't seen too much of that kind of stuff in the Billion Dollar Cat community, but I think maybe in terms of like things that are sensitive, a lot of times with these meme coins, it can become very kind of tribalistic and very peer versus peer. There's a tendency, if you see somebody from another community, maybe they would like put some tweet on X that disses your coin or that disrespects disrespects Billy, and you get mad and you want to create these memes that are like dissing them back, and it becomes this kind of aggressive thing, so you see a lot of people that say, well, that's not the right spirit, but it's ultimately just kind of something that gets resolved through like community consensus. I mean, the fact that it's open and decentralized, it's like if somebody was to make a meme that was aggressive or that was sexually explicit or something like that, and they put it on X, if you find that resonates with you or that you think it's funny, then you would like that post and might retweet it or whatever. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't. So ultimately, I don't think you really can control that. And one thing that I've always liked about Billion Dollar Cat, Sup and Sig are very kind of like very patient and very kind of hands off in that sense. There's not really like an attempt to micromanage what the community is doing in terms of content. I think they're very kind of open to the emergent quality of this insofar as like they don't know what's going to come out of this process, because we're just kind of like bringing these tools together and putting them in people's hands and seeing what happens, and it's all kind of very experimental. So you see some memes that might be like offensive or sexually explicit or something like that. It's like, if you don't like it, just don't like it, don't repost it. And if you do, then you do, and it just kind of sorts itself out like that. Ultimately, you really can't control what people do, which is a good thing. But I don't see there's no censorship or anything like that in terms of Billion Dollar Cat.
Yeah, I mean, emergent and experimental. And if you did mention, I guess, that, not a lot of, explicit content comes out, then I guess it's a good thing that, that's the value that your community stands on, and it invites people to create memes that are wholesome, inclusive, and not offensive to other people. So I guess that's another, I guess, interesting characteristic of meme coins and memes, that and using memes to build community cultures is, it can be kind of like a flywheel where, if your community stands for a good movement or a good message, it'll invite more of the people to be aligned on that message and to create content and memes that are on that same, uh area of the spectrum when it comes to, like, values or virtues. So it's pretty cool, I guess, if you mention, and you say that there aren't a lot of bad memes, and that like the team members and the people aren't so hands-on on micromanaging what comes out. If I think that's a great sign, because that means that you're creating a meme, you're creating a community that is inviting and receptive to, or open to a wider audience. So props to you guys to that. And I guess with Billy, it's something that is very marketable. It's very memorable as well. And as you mentioned, anyone can be a part of co-creating and identifying with the community, with the meme, because you have the motif of the glasses, and that builds this shared mythology with people, that they can easily join in, on the mission of Bitcoin. And you can do that by putting on the glasses, like superheroes, as you mentioned earlier. So yeah, I guess props to you guys, and thanks, Kim, for the great question. So I guess this is another topic, or another, I guess, question that comes from our Discord, and it's from Logical Witch. So I mean, meme coins do sometimes, especially if you're trading them, they can be really fleeting, or they can really come and go really quickly, especially given the attention span that the degens have in the crypto space. So I guess, considering the short-lived nature of memes, or some memes at least, how do people stay engaged in meme-related communities? So maybe you can also talk about some of the ways that you've seen, like Sig and the other community members, really retain and engage people, using, I guess, the branding and the mascot of Billy, in the $1 billion cat community.
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly, I haven't personally participated very much in the Solana meme culture. I've observed it from safe distance, but in terms of things being short-lived, I would say, man, that is so true. The overwhelming majority of memes. I mean, every day, how many memes coins are launched? Probably thousands, and most of them don't survive 24 hours. So the turnaround is quick, and especially on a coin like Solana, the actual infrastructure is very fast. The transactions reach settlement within a few seconds, and the transaction fees are very low, which makes it so that there's a lot of people participating in that ecosystem that are perfectly happy to buy and sell. If they got a 5% profit, they're happy, So there's a lot of just like quick turnaround, people pumping and dumping, and it's all over, so quickly. I think that's maybe one advantage where the Bitcoin infrastructure really comes into play, because Bitcoin is a lot slower than Ethereum or Solana. We have about an average block time of 10 minutes. So when you make a transaction, it takes at least 10 minutes to kind of like settle the transaction. And that just kind of slows everything down. It isn't possible to rug. There's a big problem on Solana and Ethereum where people would create these liquidity pools, and the team would create a liquidity pool where you can trade these tokens in and out, but then maybe the liquidity is not locked. And when the time is right, these scammer teams would like pull the liquidity, and everybody that's holding that token is screwed at that point, because it's no longer possible to exchange it for something else. That isn't possible on Runes. Runes is much more kind of like primitive, but also kind of more like a honest and slower kind of infrastructure in that sense. So I think Runes in particular maybe kind of like tend to slow things down a little bit versus what you see on Solana or Ethereum. But in terms of $1 billion cat, I think ultimately it just comes down to conviction. Runes came out. $1 billion cat had a really strong pump when it first came out. It basically just like came out of the gate, and it was just like pumping straight to about a $70 million market cap at its first peak. And then Runes kind of entered this mini winter where there was about a 2-month period where everything was just slowly bleeding for 2 months. The mood was very kind of like morose and frustrated in the space, because everybody was just losing money day after day. The prices are going down. But during that period, Sig and Sup, the devs of $1 billion cat, were just out there in the trenches every single day on X doing reply guy stuff. They were very involved, very visible. I was there making kind of like gifts every day. So there was there was people in the community that were just like, they said, no, we believe in this. The potential of this idea is not yet fully kind of developed, and we believe that it can go the distance. So, excuse me, despite the a couple months of discouraging price action there, I think one thing that really made Billion Dollar Cat a strong project was that people could see with their own eyes that there's people in this community that are dedicated and they believe in this, and they're out there every day, irrespective of what the price action is doing. And we're building this thing up, come hell or high water. And that paid off, man, because when the sentiment changed, when Bitcoin kind of like hit a bottom and started going up again, Billion Dollar Cat performed the strongest of any rune in terms of like its reaction to Bitcoin reversal. And to me, that was kind of a testament to say that the market was rewarding the effort that was put in during those kind of dark times by the community. But I think it's true also to say, like, if we're totally honest about this, I think most of the memes, you can look at Dogecoin or something like that. Like, it's still around, Pepe is still around. There's probably a lot of people out there that had bought that and they just continued to hold it, whatever. But I think, the reality of the situation is that we're kind of playing a game of musical chairs in a sense here. And there will come a point when the macro cycle, Bitcoin cycle, market cycle will turn in a bearish mode for a couple of years or whatever, probably like it always does. And it is kind of like that. This is not necessarily something that you're going to be like holding for your life or whatever, but something like Billion Dollar Cat is unique in that respect too. And so far as it's like a kind of like a lifestyle brand in a sense, you see people building. We have the glasses, there's like apparel merchandise, there's like plush toys and that kind of stuff. You can see some other projects like Pudgy Penguins or whatnot have kind of gone in that route where they're taking the meme and actually building it into like a real world kind of a brand that has physical merchandise and that kind of stuff. So I think something like that, I kind of see that in the future of Billion Dollar Cat as something that maybe like sustains the project even through this market cycle into the next, is to say like everything else. It's all, it all moves together. So when the climax of this cycle has come and things start kind of like trending down again, I'm sure that all coins will be subject to that sort of price movement. But something like Billion Dollar Cat that has this kind of like a collectively built branding aspect to it, I think probably has like a firm foundation to be like a multi-cycle type of coin in that respect.
Cool. Yep. Thanks, Io. Yeah, I got a lot out of that. And I guess as you mentioned, you have your team members who are showing up every day in the trenches. And you did mention that there was a time when there was like a winter, for price action. And when that reversal happened, it was BTC's price that, really went up. And that's a testament as well to the mind share that a meme can have is, if it's on people's radar, it's a flywheel of, if it goes up, people will want to FOMO in or buy in. So I think that's an interesting market dynamic. And as you mentioned, the market is kind of rewarding the people who stay and show up. And to add to that as well, I guess, as you mentioned, it's a lifestyle brand. So, it's really, I guess, cool to see how you have something like your glasses, your motif kind of sticking around and, being the common denominator through time where people, will easily remember Billion Dollar Cat because you have the glasses and, I guess the glasses stay on. So thank you, Logical Witch, for that question. Yeah, I'll be picking one more as well from our Discord. So this one comes from Humidifier. Humidifier asks, so what challenges might arise when using memes as a tool for community engagement?
Well, there's a lot of copycats. So one thing that Billion Dollar Cat has dealt with in particular, I think, crypto is just full of grifters and people looking for quick money. So one kind of interesting scenario that happened with Billion Dollar Cat, runes had been around just for like a little bit. I think, the runes protocol was only a few weeks old and Billion Dollar Cat was kind of one of the main ones. And the ticker at that time was Billy. And the tagline for the project was Billy to a Billy, $1 billion, go to $1 billion market cap. Well, over on Solana, all of a sudden up popped this meme coin called Billy. And they had the tagline Billy to a Billy. And their meme mascot was just this. It was just a picture of a puppy. It wasn't anything special. It was just like some snapshot that somebody took of this cute puppy. And you saw a lot of the influencers on the Solana side. It's a very kind of nefarious world in the sense of the manipulations that go on. And there's a lot of kind of underhanded stuff that happens in crypto in terms of people that are paid to promote or people that are, making kind of like a devious maneuvers. So, the Solana Billy eclipsed $1 billion Cat on X for a little while there. and so you see a lot of that kind of stuff. Ultimately, Solana and Billy was a low effort thing. Their memes were horrible. There wasn't anybody in that community that was really putting the effort in to actually create high quality content or to keep that going. So it kind of ran its course, and ultimately $1 Billion Cat did supersede that and survive that and come out stronger on the other side. But there's always new stuff popping up. There's new coins. People say, well, there's a new cat coin on the block, so maybe it's time everybody should just sell $1 Billion Cat and jump on this new thing. But one point that I've been making, people are anxious about that because the crypto and the meme coin culture in particular is so kind of like fast turnaround. It's like a turn and burn, make your money quick and get out kind of thing. Most of it, and I see in the $1 Billion Cat community and elsewhere, there's people that express anxiety about the idea that some new upstart coin could come and kind of steal Billy's thunder and ultimately eclipse what we've done. But I'm not personally so worried about that because I think ultimately there's like a universal law at play here where it's like it really comes down to like human labor. And you want to build something that has the strength to kind of survive and to persist and to grow stronger along the way. There's like countless hours of work that have been put in by the team, building the Billy AI bot and doing all the stuff we do on Twitter every single day. People like myself in the community who are creating content. This is real work. And it requires hours and hours and hours of human kind of like talent and focus and effort. And ultimately, it's that work that kind of creates the value that people see in a project. Anybody can just take a JPEG and a ticker and just launch a new project, but there's nothing really there that gives it value beyond the initial flush. People might get excited right in the beginning and say, oh, but it gets to a certain point and it's like, okay, people have to actually start working to create value here because there's nothing here besides a JPEG and a ticker, and people can see that. Whereas with something like $1 Billion Cat, you can look at the memes, you can look at all the different kind of like meme creation utilities that have been created. This is real work, and it's not something that can be easily replicated overnight. This is like seven months of just like constant labor at this point by a lot of talented people in the community. So in terms of using memes as a tool for community, there's always going to be competition. There's always kind of like upstarts and copycats that want to come along and steal your thunder. They want to borrow your meme and try to like personally profit off of that. And that's just something that you have to deal with in this sector. But I think ultimately, most of those people are not willing to actually put in the work that's required to compete at that level. So only the strong survive.
Thanks, Ayo. Yep. I guess as you mentioned, there are a lot of, no pun intended, copycats, and that there is manipulation as well. But I guess as you did mention, it's all about the people who are showing up and really identifying with the community and the OGs as well. So Humidifier, thank you for that question. I'll be choosing, I guess, one or two more questions if time allows. But yeah, I guess this one comes from our Discord as well. So Cyanitzi asks, so what strategies can communities use to encourage members to create and share their own memes? So, I mean, we did talk a little bit earlier about Billy AI and how, you have been able to open source that process by allowing your community members to feed an AI to create their own, AI generated memes through a text promptable, I guess, bot. So maybe you can also mention or talk about some of the other things that you've seen, the team members do, or community members have also, I guess, input and solicited on strategies, I guess, that they can use for, their community members to co-create and share their own memes, I guess, even outside of crypto or, in general for community building.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of projects, they make assets available. There might be like static assets in terms of like the logo or the kind of mascot character in the form of like a PNG image or something like that people can take and do stuff with that. I don't know. I mean, I guess in terms of beyond other communities, what besides $1 Billion Cat, what they're doing to encourage people, I can't really speak to that so much in terms of what I've seen. It's exceptional. I mean, the $1 Billion Cat thing with the Billy AI and the meme generator on the website are really kind of like standout, utilities that I haven't seen in a lot of other communities. But I would say in the more general sense, we're really entering an interesting era here in terms of like the AI generated tools that are available out there. There's just a proliferation of platforms that can generate imagery, that can like take still images and turn those into animated clips. And I think that probably any meme community out there that's looking to open source and kind of decentralize meme creation would do very well to direct their community members to kind of explore and mess around with those tools and see what they can do. But I mean, typically before all this AI stuff came along, it really just kind of came down to whether or not the community has people in it that possess specialized kind of software skills in terms of Photoshop or video editing and that kind of stuff to be able to create the memes. And the community has relied on those individuals to kind of carry the burden of content creation. And so with the AI stuff that's coming out now, we really see that shifting. And to me, that's a very cool thing. But beyond just making kind of like basic assets, graphic assets available to people to play with, and encouraging people to get experimental with some of these new tools, I guess that's probably what teams could do.
Thank you. Yeah, Sayanitsi, thank you for that great question on Discord. I guess we have time for like one last community question. So this one comes from our Facebook Live. So shout out again to the Filipinos and coins.ph users who are watching from X or Facebook Live, where a lot of our Filipino viewers are from. And there is a storm right now in the Philippines, so I hope everyone is safe, from the inclement weather. And of course, to our viewers on X, there are a lot of you tonight. So if you guys are coming from the Billy Dollar Cat community, wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys are picking up something as well on our discussion tonight for building community culture through memes. So thank you, everyone. And I guess for that last question that comes from our Facebook Live, so this would be, I guess, like a bit of an idealistic question, and it's a good question, I guess, to cap off our discussion. So I guess Gavin Sonor asks, in what ways can memes be a vehicle for social change or advocacy within a community? And I guess you can, tie that back in with what you mentioned and talked about earlier, Io. How it promotes, a mascot can promote a mythology, a story that people can identify with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the Murad Super Cycle presentation that he gave at Singapore 2024 this year, and I think he was really on the money with that. I mean, one of the things that he really highlighted in that sense is what advantage that memes have over a lot of these kind of like VC-backed utility projects these days is that the memes offer a kind of like a level playing field where everybody has an equal opportunity to get in early. So you're seeing people are experiencing, financial transformation, positive financial transformations in their life. Poor people are getting rich to use Murad's terms. So in terms of, meme coins in particular, maybe offering a more kind of fair shot at upward financial mobility. I think that's obviously positive for people that are experiencing that. But, the meme culture in terms of its mythology or whatever, I mean, to me, it's just, this is like an open source, decentralized kind of culture generation engine. We're creating our own mythologies and our own stories and our own characters that are going to define the way that we relate to the human experience together. And, the crypto memes are kind of like niche in the sense that these are tied to tokens that people are gambling on. So maybe that's a little bit more niche versus like just general meme culture online. But insofar as like Wall Street Bets, for example, community was like, they had the whole GameStop thing and all that. That was a very kind of mimetic thing where you saw the retail apes, that you saw these people from the bottom of the kind of financial pyramid triumphing over people. At least that was a narrative. I don't know if that was totally true in that sense, but it's the idea that like the underdog can succeed and that the people that are in entrenched positions of power or maybe abusing their power can be defeated through the collective kind of like belief and effort of like the crowd, and I think that's kind of inspiring at a socio-political level at the level of like building. I talked earlier about how this meme coin culture, in a sense, it's all very frivolous and we're just kind of gambling, having fun here, but it's like serving an end insofar as kind of priming the pump to draw in developers to build this kind of decentralized financial infrastructure that empowers people around the world to take control of their financial situation and to have kind of financial sovereignty. So, I think memes can play into all of that insofar as to whatever extent the people that are in meme communities or creating memes want to like make reference to these types of ideas, is to say that we're just the common people of Earth and we're kind of like fighting back. We're creating our own mythology. We're creating our own culture. We're going to have fun and we're not going to let people that are powerful in the world tell us what we can and can't do, in a sense. And I think that's all very kind of inspiring. And at the root of it, it's get rich quick or whatever, but it's like there are a lot of people that are experiencing, positive financial outcomes from their participation in this kind of process, and that's great to see.
Thank you, Ayo, and thank you, Jevin, for that great question. I mean, you did mention Murad, and I'm not sure how many of our Filipino viewers are familiar even with Murad, because Murad did become very popular on Twitter, And I think a lot of the Filipino crypto audience, might not be as active on Twitter, and they don't know the characters, who are popular on the timeline and appear on a very frequent basis. And I was really lucky to be able to watch Mirad's talk live at Singapore, and it really does articulate the ideas of why are meme coins so popular, and how does this relate back to crypto as a store of value, and a tradable store of value, and how do people attribute, I guess, value to crypto, to meme coins also. So yeah, Jevin, thank you for that. And Ayo, as you mentioned, financial sovereignty, and memes as a culture generation engine. I guess meme coins are, it's really interesting to me. Even if you do like to nerd out and read about like economics or history of money and all those kinds of things, how we are at this stage in like the financial, I guess, progression where we did come from gold, and then we came into fiat, and then now we have Bitcoin, and now we have meme coins as an extension of cryptocurrencies. So it's really interesting, I guess, to see what can meme coin stand for, what kind of people does it bring in, and what kind of message does it send as well to the outside world, as you mentioned, because it does have its own message. And as you mentioned, with crypto, and people can generate their own communities and coins, who is to say what we can and cannot do? And that's the beauty of, I guess, the decentralized nature of crypto, and web3 communities as well. Yeah, let me just there. So yeah, that's all the time we have. So thank you everyone from our community, who came out. And I know that in the Philippines there's a very strong storm going on. So if you're in tune to the show tonight, I hope you're safe, and I hope you learned something. Ayo gave some really interesting insights to the idea of meme coins as an extension of crypto, and Billy as the mascot for Bitcoin, and Billion Dollar Cat as a community, being this open source and participatory community where anyone can, join in and, associate themselves with the motif of the glasses. So thank you so much, Ayo, for joining us for Community Wednesday. It's been a privilege to have you as a guest, and to all of our viewers from the Billy Dollar Cat community, thank you as well for tuning in. There are over 300 of you from my count. So thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you got something as well, from some of the insights about the Filipino audience, and from the Filipino audience. I hope you guys learned something new about Bitcoin, about runes, about meme coins, about the Billy Dollar Cat community as well. So Ayo, I guess I'd like to ask you, would you want to plug some of your social media, or where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm primarily on Twitter and Telegram. You can find my X account is IoTBTC, IoTBTC, and that's pretty much it. I guess I have the same handle in Telegram. So yeah, that'd be where you find me.
All right. Yep. I'll just flash it on the screen real quickly. So if I'm not mistaken, this is your handle.
That's correct. Yep.
All right. So to our Filipino users, if you want to keep up, with Ayo on social, so do feel free to follow him and say GM from the Coins community, or wherever you're tuning in from. So thank you again, Ayo, so much for joining us so early in the morning, where you are in the world. So again, I'm JC, or Jaffa, community manager for coins.ph. A shout out everyone from the Billy Dollar Cat community and the coins.ph coin community. Thank you so much for tuning into Coin Community Wednesdays. Please do leave a comment as well, or hit me up with whatever topics you'd like us to cover as well, and guests you'd like us to have for future Coin Community Wednesdays. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Thank you so much again, Ayo, for joining us, and we'll see you all next week on our Coin Community Wednesday stream. It's been a pleasure, Ayo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Billy to a Billy.
Billy to a Billy. All right, everyone. See ya.
The Philippines' first and leading crypto exchange, coins.ph. 60 cryptocurrencies to trade, like Bitcoin, USDT, and more. Enjoy low fees, favorable rates, and a smooth cash in and out experience. Download coins.ph now.